Hi, YouTube. Welcome back for another episode with Stacey C. Collins. If you are enjoying my channel, please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. I'm interested in seeing if there's anyone else out there who's looking for the information that I have to give. I'm here in the community. I want to serve. I want to help. Let me know what you think. And so today I'm going to talk about I didn't realize how much my life was built around not feeling safe. And I wrote a few things down so that I will remember to put them in here. And so one of them was not feeling safe emotionally. A lot of the times I would spiral in conversations with family or friends or getting upset. And I will allow that, like I was telling you guys before, I will allow that to just completely ruin my day, my week, my month, my year, by not giving the right information to the person who, hurt my feelings. And so now I'm in a place where if there's an incident and it happens, I know how to say, hey, wait a minute, let's have a conversation about this, right? And me having that conversation with them almost nips it in the butt for me right then, so that way I'm not spiraling out of control. And like I said, I can do that. I can allow it to just last for days. And so, having that conversation, whether I'm completely right or whether they're right, it's not about right or wrong. It's, hey, in this moment I feel blah blah blah, and what you said blah blah blah. And so by having that conversation, it's gotten me out of the emotional spirals. And even if I can't say it in that moment, I'll call the person back, maybe once I cool down 30 minutes later, and then say what I need to say. It's also, sometimes there's different forms of communication, of course, we know, right? You can text it, you can write it, you can say it. I don't necessarily recommend text messages because people but people will misconstrue what you say. So if you can, even if you need bullet points for yourself on paper, hey, this is what I need to say, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And then have that open conversation, that open dialogue with that individual. And once again, it's not about you being right, it's just you getting out of that whole spiral of, getting up in the morning, you're still mad about it, you're showering, you're putting on your clothes, you're going to work, you're mad, and it just ruins your day. So now, that we're learning and we're growing a little bit at a time, I realized for myself that emotionally I was spiraling and I was out of control. And so I'm reining it back in. I was not feeling safe financially. And at one point, I got a job. I put, the time in on the job, and then I bought the house. I've gone through IVF. I've paid off, bills. Had, great credit. I took the time to build the credit the right way and do an IVF process. Alone, single mom, is expensive. Not only that, we talked about the fact that my job didn't pay me for 2 or 3 months on end. So that left a hole in my finances on top of paying for everything, and didn't knowing that I was going to be sick the whole time of my pregnancy. So being on short term and so on and so forth, it can it can put a damper in your life, right? It could be a huge hole, and you definitely don't feel safe when you're up at night thinking about, oh my god, I have to pay this bill, oh my god, this is due, how do I maintain keeping my credit score up, how do I pay this outrageous bill, all those things, right? And so financially, I decided to file for bankruptcy. And it was one of the best decisions that I made, although I took so much, I can't say took so much time. I took time to think about it and be responsible. And when I've talked to one or two people about it, and it wasn't the greatest response. It's, they give you the whole blah speech. And you know what? I was like, even with that, I'm like, that's still not going to help me. I could potentially lose my house if I don't do this, if I don't get rid of all of these credit card bills, if I don't figure out a way to talk to somebody about it that handles finances or handles bankruptcy or consolidation. Who do I talk to fix this? How do I solve this problem? And so I talked to someone, and that ended up being the gentleman who did my bankruptcy, my attorney, lawyer, attorney, I'm not sure which one it is, but he helped. And so he gave me this whole questionnaire, and I went through the questionnaire and I qualified for it. And it didn't take long at all. It took about 6 to 10 weeks for me to completely get that done and taken care of. And now I can breathe. Like, I'm not up at night worrying about these credit card bills that I cannot pay, that I cannot afford anymore. And because of the economy, because I have a child, because the credit card bills, because I had to live off of my credit cards when I was on short term, because I had to live off my credit cards because I wasn't getting a paycheck. Like, what do you do when you don't get a paycheck and you still need gas, or you still need food, or you still have to buy formula? Like, how does that work, right? And so I did not feel safe financially. And so me filing bankruptcy was one of the first steps that I did. And after that, I went back to the way I used to do things, which was have a planner. And in each month in my planner, I wrote out mortgage, electricity, gas, all the bills that I have, I write them on the side in my planner, and then I put them on the day that they're due, and I put my paychecks in there, and I know when my paychecks are. And so I total up the paycheck, and I subtract everything, and I highlight it once it's all finished, and I know how much money I have left over. And one of the things that I want to get back into is paying my tithes again. Before, I used to pay my tithes, and I haven't in a while, and I've gotten off track spiritually. That leads me into a whole nother, I didn't feel safe spiritually, but that's next, right? But that's something that I was like, you know what? I have to do a better job with my budget, and I have to go back to paying my tithes, because that's something that I believe in. So if it's something that I believe in, then it's something that I need to do, right? Okay. So then spiritually, I didn't feel safe spiritually. And that's because I wasn't getting up in the morning, and I wasn't spending time with God. I wasn't reading my Bible. I wasn't doing my daily bread. I would pray here and there, right? And so with that being said, me getting back aligned spiritually looks like my morning routine, right? My praying in the morning, my praying in the evening time. Now that my daughter is 2, it's prayers with her at night, right? It's prayers before we get in the car in the morning. It's praying for her. It's so important, right? Because I know that my grandmother, her whole life, she prayed for me. And I feel like that's where I am. I'm here where I am now is because of her powerful prayers, right? And so I have to learn how to be a prayer warrior for my daughter, because who knows what her life has to come to. And so I want to be that one that's going to pray for her. I want to be the one that's going to protect her, shelter her, love on her, give her words of encouragement, and show her what spirituality looks like, right? And so the last one was physically. And right now, I'll talk about that maybe in another episode, but I'm going through IVF again. And this time around, I'm just harvesting my embryos, my eggs, which will actually, they're follicles at this point, but once they put them with the sperm, they will be called embryos. And as you guys can see, like, my face is a little chubby. I mean, I am glowing though. That's a good thing. But I will probably end up taking a trigger shot here in a few days. And so the whole physical aspect, right? Getting in shape and getting back to a place where I love myself physically, and how I look is something that I realized that I lost, right? And I didn't feel safe with my body. And that comes with a multitude of things, right? That comes by overeating beforehand. That comes with not getting proper sleep. That comes with um, drinking. And that comes with, partying. And that was like prior self, right? Because I didn't know that those things would, I just did. Like, I just did them because I thought they were fun, or I thought they were cool, or I thought that was the phase that I was in life. But now that I realized that those things did not help me feel safe, so let's eliminate those things. And I have, and I've been working on that aspect of the physical part, right? Of losing the weight, and getting into a healthy routine with my foods. Asking myself, why do you want to overeat? Why are you feeling overwhelmed? What makes you gravitate towards getting something to eat opposed to eating something that's maybe a little bit healthier, or just drinking some water? How about that? Right? So, or leaving the coffee out. Like, all of those things um play a huge part in the physical aspect of our body and not feeling safe. And so now that I know those things, I'm working on them, and that's what I want to show you guys too. And I know there has to be someone out there that didn't realize that they didn't feel safe. And I remember the day I realized that, oh my God, I don't feel safe in these areas, or with being seen, or being heard by my family, or being heard or seen by my friends. And I just cried. and but it was such a release to recognize that for myself, right? And so, if you know better, they always say you do better. So how those are working in my life is by slowing down, not spiraling long, balancing my time better, balancing my budget better, um, trusting myself, right? Trusting that, you know what, you got this. And I remember sometime last year, I did a class, and he did a meditation class, and he had us close our eyes, and we walked into our younger self. And we realized that, well, I realized that um, I needed to protect the younger version of me. And when I gave her a hug, and I stood there and I cried with her, and I told her that it is going to be okay, and that you are safe, and everything is all right, that I got you. And whatever you were worried about, it's okay. You don't have to carry that any longer. And that was a game changer for me, like so much, and it allowed me to truly trust myself, the knowing that I didn't come this far just to give up, and I didn't come this far just to lose. I am winning, and I am a winner. And so throughout the time of just like looking at the things that I've accomplished, it's like, girl, you're amazing, okay? So um and just letting things go, right? Not carrying them. And this new version of who I'm becoming, allowing her to shine, allowing her to be who she needs to be in that moment. Because when I get to another level and I look back at this, I'm going to be so proud of myself for doing this, and so proud of myself for allowing myself to be vulnerable and putting myself out there, and looking at her and said, you did it, you're the shit, like you're you're the bomb, girl. I love you, right? And even that, like, just to be able to tell yourself, like, I love you, Stacy. And I love you too, whoever's watching this, because you clicked on this and obviously it's what you needed, or it came into your life for a reason in a season, right? And so I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm excited about it. And for so long, I wanted to like push past this stage, right? Push past the stage of losing the weight, but being the girl that's at her ideal weight, right? Or push past the IVF journey. And right now, like my belly's swollen, I'm bloated, I've had an ultrasound every other day. I've had so much blood work. I've had blood work 3 times, 4 times a week at this point. And it's just, this is all to make me a better person and to hopefully, have another child in the future so that my daughter can have a sibling. Like, I don't want her to be the only one in the world. But if she is not in the world, but I want her to have more siblings, right? And if she is my only child in this world, that too is still okay, because she will make friends. She will be okay. And no matter whether I'm here or not, she's going to learn how to thrive and survive in this world, just like how you and I have, right? And so it's always looking at the brighter side of things. I know a lot of the times we could be so negative, or we could look at things, and in a negative way, and how we wish it was different, but it's the gratitude, it's being grateful for what we do have. And I am blessed to be able to do IVF again, even though I spent a lot of money on my own, but now my job is paying for it and I'm grateful. And so whatever this brings, it's okay. Whether that brings, more children or not, I have to be okay, and I am okay with whatever God says. And so now that I've kind of gone through that, letting love end is the last thing that I'm struggling with. And I don't know how I feel about it. I'm gonna put a pin in that. I do want to let love in, as far as like, a partner, my partner in crime, my beautiful husband, my beautiful man that I will have one day. I don't know who he is, if he's out there. No. But no, I don't know how I feel about that right now. I'm so deep into the IVF journey, doing my YouTubes, growing financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, working on myself to be the best version of me that I can be. That I do want a partner, but I want one when the time is right and when God says so. But until then, I'm gonna work on me. I'm not going to give up on love. I know that there is someone for me. And do I wholeheartedly believe that? I don't know. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna pray about that. Um, and maybe that'll be a topic of discussion later. But I mean, in my life, do I see a partner? Before, yes, absolutely, because I was like that person who didn't want to buy a house without a husband. I didn't want to have kids without a husband. I've always grown up around my family who's always had their partners, but at the same time, I don't want to settle for something that's not for me, right? And I don't want to settle for a half of a relationship just to say I have somebody. The relationship that I want is going to be ordained by God, right? I'm working on myself so that way when I do meet this individual, I am where I need to be, right? And be ready to receive. So, this has gotten pretty long. I didn't expect it to be almost 20 minutes. I just really came on here right before I have a dinner party with my friends this evening. And I wanted to be consistent and make sure that I continue to post every Sunday. So if this helps and it resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Look at me getting better. Ooh, look at Stacy. Yay. I'll end with safety doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like small, quiet decisions, one at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. You got this. You deserve to win. Bye for now. Stacy C. Collins. Like, share, and subscribe.